All right, I just wanted to run through very quickly how we go about uploading our acoustic survey data into the BTO acoustic pipeline via the handy dandy desktop app. Once you have opened the app, entered your password and username, you will come to the first screen and we can choose bats here on top or birds in green. We obviously surveyed for bats. That was that little switch on the side of our detector if you're using the Demeter. So we can go ahead and click on start the process. The bottom right of this window is start new upload. So we'll go ahead and click that button. Now, the first of the three steps that we're going to go through is to select the folder in which your acoustic files are located. You'll see here I have a folder sitting next to me here on my desktop. This is a volunteer over the summer, had a detector. This is the end of season upload. So that's the folder I'm going to use. So to do that, I'm going to click on the blue select folder and I'm going to navigate to my desktop and to that folder here and then click select folder. I don't need to go into the folder. If you do open the folder, there'll be no visible files there. So just select the parent folder that you wish to upload. At the end of step one there, it will have done a quick scan to make sure there are files in that folder, that they are appropriate for upload, and then it will kick you on to step two, where we are going to add our survey metadata. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and that uploads, or opens rather, a window. And in that window, we're going to have a couple of options to go through, and they're quite important in terms of setting where your detector was, what your name for the survey was, if you have a number of different sites that you've been surveying, etc., etc. So you'll have a system for how you want to do that, or your project administrator will have that. So for my batch name, I'm simply going to put a name and then put end of season, so that I know if I ever have to go back and look at this, that it's just the end of season roundup. Here in New Zealand, we're obviously running the New Zealand National Bat Survey, so that is the project where we want all of the data to be uploaded to, so that it gets reported in a national framework administered by the Department of Conservation. So we have all of our bat data in one place. If you're a paid subscriber, this is what your subscription is paying for. So we go ahead and click the National Bat Survey. That's just telling it where we would like this data to be uploaded. You will not have this little box here. It's only because I'm the project manager here that I have an option to upload on behalf of participants. But if you are a project administrator, you can then upload on behalf of people who are surveying on your behalf, and then they will also get an email with the results from their survey, which is quite exciting. So the next step after we've done this is the files are shown here on the left. So you have a file name, the date of recording, and then a latitude and longitude. For my project, I preset my recorder locations to a known point. That enabled me to change the location if the user had failed to do so themselves. So I knew that there was no survey happening here. So if there was a data uploaded here, I knew I had to investigate further and change it. So if you have surveyed in the instance here where I've had a user that has done a survey, and we are simply going to locate where they were. You can use Street Map or you can use satellite. Once you have the approximate location of where your detector was, simply click this blue button. You can then select a latitude and longitude using the map, and I'm going to scroll along to where this survey was undertaken, and I will put a dot on the map there by simply clicking the cursor, going back to the same button and clicking copy to all files. And that will simply change the coordinates of all of our sound files to be the same, because all of the data was collected at the same point. It makes sense that all the files will have the same coordinates. So you can see that that's been copied to all of those files. The next step is to save this metadata. That kicks us back to our main screen. And the third and final step is to prepare the recordings for upload. You can choose on the first time this happens to create a local copy if you would like. I obviously already have a local copy. That's the file sitting on my desktop there with the data in it. For volunteers, you may not need to save this. Your project administrator will have told you whether you need to or not. It can be useful for an initial verification in areas where bats are not known to exist, that if you get a bat recording, your project administrator may want you to provide one file just for manual verification. But this last step here is basically just a scan of those files. to, again, make sure they're appropriate for upload, creates a copy such that if you get disconnected from the internet, nothing's going to happen. It has a copy, and when you get reconnected, the upload will continue. Now, the upload process can be dependent on your internet speed. I'm hardwired in here with a cable, so my internet speed is quite good because I'm working with data a lot of the time. But for some volunteers, you may need to schedule more regular uploads of your data so that you don't get lumped with a lot of data, or your project admin may have provided a way for you to simply return an SD card or hard drive with the data to them so that you can avoid having to do the upload yourselves. But you are still able to get a results email sent to you as a project participant, so you can still see the data that you have collected as well as the wider project findings. So take that opportunity. If your internet is good, then definitely upload the data yourself. It's not a very time-consuming process, as you've seen. This is only taken a couple of minutes to do, and I've been talking while doing it. So it's a simple process, but it is speed limited, obviously. So you can see here we're approaching 92% of the scan, and the next step is basically going to be just pressing a button that says Start Upload, at which point, if you're getting a notification like this one, which has just popped up right at the end here, this is an older software version, which was slightly too long file lengths. So the software has to split them. We use 5-second file sizes. So these detectors I had early season were recording 5.0 something seconds, hence the cutting here. If you've set your recording length to 5 seconds or less, you won't see that. So I wouldn't worry about that. Here is this green button that is Start Upload. You can see steps 1 through 3 are green. Now we have a Start Upload button. Once we click that, it is a little unresponsive, but it takes a second or two. It will flip us back to a menu that has your standard status bar, which will show you how fast your upload is progressing, how the estimated number of files remaining, and it will just give you the progress. You can keep the app open to ensure that the upload is continuing. If you close it, it will pause the upload. So in order to ensure that your data is uploaded, I would keep the window open, your computer plugged in. If you have a wired connection, that will be the best speed that you can get. And once it is finished, you'll have a notification in the bottom of this box that says your upload has now completed, and you will get an email once the processing has been finished, which will walk you through a report. I can show you a brief example of a report that you get back here. If I drag this into view here, we can see from the same user in a different period of time, just for a single night, and we had some unidentified birds in there. And if I come back to the main project window, which you will have a version of with your BTO Acoustic Pipeline account, so you'll be able to see your data that you have uploaded, and it allows you to do a quick visual inspection, detections over a range of nights. It can give you the time of detections within nights, and it gives you a downloadable Excel spreadsheet for your data set as well. So it looks like I spent a little bit too long not logged in there. So if I come to view uploads on the project here, and if I select, let's say, January of this year, when our volunteers were in full swing, we can see that we have screeds and screeds, pages and pages of volunteers, and we can see here that we have dates, the batch names. This is the names that we allocate. A username gives you the nights, number of files, the size, the IDs that were made. Here is your download for the spreadsheet results. So you can click on that and you'll get a spreadsheet that you have all of your files and all of the classifier information. So again, here we have nights with detections. Here we have long-tailed bats, 34 total detections. And if we click on that species, we will then get a timing of detections during the night. So here there was bats detected on 1 of those survey nights, and the timing here looks relatively well spread throughout the night. We know that this was a relatively high activity site. As part of our survey, we identified this site. This is similar feedback to what you get in the Excel spreadsheet. Any warnings for low probability files will be here, and then you can, if you need to, project administrators in particular can interrogate any low probability files. If you have bats that shouldn't be in a location and yet you're getting bat recordings, then you can interrogate those as well. So that's a nice brief rundown on how all of these things work. Here you can see that we're in our status bar, 44 of almost 8,000 files. So that's going to take a little bit of time to upload, but that's the process. Nice and simple, and once you've done it a few times, then it gets very quick. The slowest portion is always the data upload. So excellent. I'll leave it there. Thank you.